The Sigma Art series is one of my favourite sets of stills lenses. For their price point, they are a fantastic and versatile set of primes. The 35mm in particular is one of my favourite in the set. So when Sigma announced the 35mm f1.2 for E and L mount systems, I was excited to get my hands on it, and today I have it in for testing. The new 35mm is available in both Sony E mount and Panasonic and Leica's L mount. This is probably due to the new optical formula that is constructed of 17 elements in 12 groups, not working with the longer flange of EF. Physically, the lens is exactly what you expect from the Sigma Art line. The build quality is very solid and sleek. However, this new lens has gained some serious weight over its f1.4 little brother, weighing in at 1,090 grams. That's an increase of 425 grams. With this, the lens is also bigger. It's 13.6 centimeters long and 87.8 millimeters wide with an 82mm filter thread. There are a few buttons on the side of the lens, an AF/MF switch, an AFL lock for cancelling autofocus, and a clicked/declicked switch for the manual iris control. This is one of the bigger differences between the f1.4 and f1.2. When declicked, the ring is smooth and consistent. You can also move the iris to the A position. This will make the lens behave like a regular stills lens. Having all of these options for controlling the 11-bladed iris is awesome. The 11-bladed iris is also an improvement over the 9 of the f1.4. However, one of the biggest downsides of the f1.2 is the different focusing mechanics. The f1.2 uses a focus by wire system, whereas the f1.4 uses a traditional focus mechanism. For stills, this isn't too big of a deal, as the AF is decent. However, for video, this is a big deal. Focus by wire systems still haven't caught up with traditional focus systems. This means that focus pulls are inconsistent and feel delayed in comparison. But onto some more scientific tests. We shot these tests with our Sony Venice in 6K 17:9 mode at ISO 1250 using the internal NDs to control exposure. We shot with both the new 35 1.2 as well as the original 1.4 Art. Wide open, the 1.2 has lemon-shaped bokeh all over the frame. When stopped down to f2, this is reduced, but bokeh has some cutting towards the edges of the frame. This cutting is gone as you hit around f2.8. There is a tiny bit of CA on the bokeh across the frame on both lenses, but the f1.2 has slightly less. Both the lenses have some texture, but again, I think the f1.2 is slightly cleaner than the f1.4. Both of these flares are really nice. However, I actually think the f1.4 looks a little nicer because of the less saturated flares. Both lenses suffer from veil and glare, but I would say the f1.2 is slightly more controlled. Both lenses suffer from breathing. Looking at the lenses at f4, I would say the 1.4 has slightly more breathing than the f1.2. Unfortunately, our regular coverage test camera doesn't have the ability to mount E or L mount onto it, but both the 1.4 and the 1.2 are designed to cover full frame sensors. However, to me, the 1.4 has more light off towards the corners of frame than the 1.2. This, however, does get better as you stop down. The 1.2 is extremely sharp. Wide open, there is some CA present, but the lens still renders really well in the center and holds out fairly decently out to the corners. At f4, it really sharpens up, especially towards the corners of frame. When comparing it to the f1.4, you can really see an improvement in sharpness, especially towards the corners, even when stopped down to f4. Even though these are both 35mm lenses, you have a slightly different amount of field of view, and with this, you get a slightly different amount of distortion on both lenses. Both lenses have barrel distortion, but I think the 1.4 has a touch less. In conclusion, Sigma's fastest ever 35mm definitely is a great lens optically, but it isn't for everyone. Its price, size, weight, and focus by wire system may put some people off. But for people wanting the cleanest and sharpest native E-mount 35mm lens on the market, this may be a good option. But the original f1.4 is still an incredible choice if you are put off by the size or focusing system. Let us know down below if you think the f1.2 is a worthy upgrade, and make sure you subscribe to future lens tests.